Hi, let's start here. The world-famous Sundance Film Festival is happening right now. Many of my friends are there, but I'm not. I'm walking in the road downtown LA, a central component of the 7th Street Produce Market, originally known as the LA Terminal Market. Today it's host to the weekly open-air food market, Smorgasburg, the largest of its kind in America. I'm stuck in town because almost everyone I know, and many whom I don't, are currently at ski resorts, partying and celebrating with fellow artists in snowy Park City.
A historic nuclear agreement between the U.S. and Russia is on the rise.
My journey starts here, Park City, Utah, January 2018. I'd been invited by a Sundance staffer, let's call him S. I knew him through my older sister, and he kindly offered to provide me a space to crash. And because there were airline miles, I didn't have to pay for plane tickets either. He said he'd get me tickets to screenings, and there were also other friends I knew there, people who promised they'd show me around and get me on guest lists. So, off I went to the ski resort town, roughly 30 miles east of Salt Lake City. All in all, I had a great time. I flew home, and that was that. And then came the end of the year. People I'd hung out with at Sundance, notably T and B, or the wristband pals as they call them, since we'd invite each other to various events throughout the year, start asking me whether or not I'd return to Sundance. In principle, I was interested, but S had left the Sundance Institute, so this time there were no promises of screening tickets. And I also wasn't sure how I'd be able to take time off of my studies and work just for a week of vacationing purely for the sake of vacationing. After all, I didn't have a film showing at the festival.
I felt like if I was going to a band and making rent, I needed a good excuse to be there.
So, I procrastinated. Fast forward to January 12th, 2019, when B texts me again asking about Sundance. This was about 2 weeks away from opening day. S tells me he hadn't found lodging yet since he's going independently this year. So I text T, seeing whether he has any lodging options. He immediately responds, and being the Sundance veteran he is, T had already been on the lookout for last-minute sleeping arrangements for other procrastinators like me.
Simultaneously, I also did some research for travel options.
Of course, I started with flights out of LAX, but really focused on the flights out of Burbank and Long Beach airports. The most economical option out of Long Beach was hovering just above $300 round trip. Now, last year, because of some last-minute surprises, I ended up staying at a condo which another experienced Sundance attendee friend, H, found for me. To maximize my chances of finding a place, I also reached out to him. And sure enough, he planned on making the trek up again this year. For $100 per night, he's found a couch to sleep on during his time there. He found this arrangement on a Facebook group for Sundance goers and offered to add me into that group, which is how I started my account again and got back on Facebook. What I saw in that group, even though I was forewarned, was hard to believe.
So, I woke up one morning to find an email from T in my inbox.
It's a group email shared among 8 people who were looking for Sundance lodging. There were numerous leads that subsequently got floated around, but they were either too prohibitively high in ask, or their availability opened up only after I'd have arrived or left, which obviously wouldn't work.
I don't think so.
Noticeably, it included a weird exchange with a suspicious character, here we'll call V, who danced around quite a bit and would not be upfront about pricing. I decided to let that thread go.
Meanwhile, remembering another person I could reach out to, I texted E, someone whom I correctly assumed was going.
Because of unforeseen surprises, I ended up staying at the condo with her last year after H made the introduction. She says she remembers seeing a post on Facebook that looked promising, so she connects me with a man we'll call C. I responded to the group text, DM'd him directly to be safe, and waited.
The next day, I logged onto Facebook to find this message.
He's offering people to sleep on the floor of a garage. No blankets, no pillows. Bring your own air mattress or sleeping bag. Unheated, in Utah, in the dead of winter.
By Monday, January 21st, the week of the festival,
I received yet another email from N, someone who T had put me in touch with. This time she's offering half a bed shared with a stranger. But at that point, a quick search told me the cheapest round-trip flight out of Long Beach was $600 and out of LAX would be upwards of $800. I began to question myself. Am I the only non-multimillionaire left in the world? And am I insane to think it's illogical that if you're paying north of $100 a night, you should get more than being able to sleep on a floor and also not need to separately buy or borrow a sleeping bag? I'm honestly curious as to how these people are able to afford such prohibitive prices, especially if they aren't being paid to be there for a job.
Sundance has grown exponentially since 1978.
But isn't it still supposed to be an independent film festival for independent artists? I mean, unless my dyslexia is acting up, I'm reading this right off of their mission statement on Sundance.org. And so, I didn't go to Sundance this year. Instead, I was wallowing in sadness and eating my feelings away, desperately trying to distract myself from the fact that almost everyone I know somehow managed to accomplish what I had failed to. Me, Captain Americo, high school freshman, emancipated, broke, uninformed, with a severe case of the FOMOs, and apparently particularly peckish and lacking in discipline. This odyssey could have been a warning about capitalism. It could have been a story about optimism, or about excess, or about irony. But honestly, all of this Sundance matter is just too frivolous for me to keep brooding about, especially relative to what's going on in Venezuela, in France, in the UK, in our southern border. Maybe people in LA would care more about Mexico and donate their apparently abundant disposable income to help refugees if they knew that a huge percentage of our avocados are imported from Mexico. Ultimately, what matters? What doesn't? Who is what? And what is where? Climate change.